Happy Tuesday, trying out a new time for the live stream. It's just going to work a little bit better for me to do it at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time instead of 3. So things are going to be a little bit earlier now. If you can't make it to the stream and you have questions or different topics you want me to talk about, feel free, of course, to just drop a comment on any of my social media channels. Or also you can visit my website, adamtalks.tech, and there's a contact page on there as well where you can drop any questions that you might have that you want us to talk about on the stream. But today we're just going to get started talking about some new gear that I've been testing out, talking about a couple of other live stream topics and ideas and formats for videos that I've been thinking about. And yeah, we're just going to get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about today is a new docking station by Evanki. So this one is called the Fusion Dock Ultra. So they had the Fusion Dock Max, they stole the Apple naming scheme, and now they have the Fusion Dock Ultra. So this one has a ton of stuff going on with it. There's a lot of ports on the back, but this has the same issue that their other Fusion Dock Max has, which is you actually have to plug it in with 2 different Thunderbolt ports to your computer. This is going to allow it to have up to, I believe, 4 displays plugged in at the same time. It might even be more than that. I actually better look that up real quick. But yeah, it takes 2 of the Thunderbolt ports if you want to keep stuff connected to it, which is a little bit of an inconvenience because you're going to have to give up 1 more port, and it's just 1 more cable that you got to leave plugged in. And depending on how you're going to be using your setup, you might find that using that extra port is kind of annoying because you might want to plug in a fast SSD directly to your computer. I guess one of the benefits of this, and the reason that it's probably okay and you can probably still get away with it, is because there are so many different Thunderbolt ports on it, which will let you plug those other fast peripherals in. And hopefully it still has plenty of bandwidth on it as well. So I'm trying to find Fusion Dock Ultra. It's not the Max 2. The Max 2 we reviewed a couple months ago, and that one was pretty cool. So this is the Fusion Dock Ultra. You do have to use 2. It can support up to quad displays on Mac, which I don't think there's any other docking stations that are able to do that. And that's only because it uses the 2 ports. So this has a cool Thunderbolt cable that does split apart. So if you need to plug it in a Mac Studio, you can go side by side. Or on your MacBook Pro, you can have them directly side by side like this as well. And you go 1 and 2 on the ports there. The back ports, you get 4 more Thunderbolt 5 ports, HDMI, DisplayPort. They finally put 10 gigabit Ethernet in one of their docks, which I really appreciate that Evanki did that. There's 2 USB-A ports and 1 USB-C port on the back. And then you have your DC in where you plug the power adapter in. I don't have the power adapter by me right now. It's pretty big though. And then you've got a mic in and also a headphone in for the back, or headphone out, I guess, for the back. The front of these docking stations is where it gets interesting. So I like that it has this isolated design. So it kind of floats on the inside of the chassis, which is really nice for heat dissipation because it keeps the docking station itself a little bit cooler. And then on the front, there's tons of ports. So you got SD, micro SD, a power delivery port for fast charging stuff if you don't need data going to it. And then there's also a ton of USB-C ports and USB-A ports. The problem I have with these docking stations that put so many of the USB-C ports and USB-A ports on the front of them is a lot of people who are using these are people who have stuff they just want to keep docked on their desk. And you don't necessarily need all the ports on the front of it. You'd probably prefer if more of the ports were on the back of it. So there's just 2 USB-A ports and 1 USB-C port on the back. I'm not counting the Thunderbolt ones. I'm counting these ones over here. And I guess there's only so much space for it. The circuit boards probably can only hold so much on either side of it. But to me, it would just make more sense to have another USB-A and another USB-C port on the back. So I like to use a Stream Deck plugged into my docking station. You can use USB-A or USB-C on it. I don't want to keep a Stream Deck plugged into the front of the docking station. I do like that you get these here for keeping stuff plugged in. You just don't need this many. And the other thing that I would really like to see Evanki do is if they would put one of their Thunderbolt ports on the front of this, because there's many fast Thunderbolt 5 SSDs coming around now, and it would make a lot more sense if you could just plug it directly into the front of the docking station instead of having to reach around to the back of it, especially due to the fact that you're giving up 2 of the ports on your computer. So I still need to do some testing with this, gather my thoughts on it. This docking station is $600. I've never seen a docking station as expensive as this. But really, you get it if you want the 10 gig network port and if you want to have the quad display capabilities that it has, which are very nice features to have. It's just pricey to spend that much on a docking station. Next thing we have to talk about is an SSD that actually broke all my SSD tests. It's this new one by OYN, the U35 Bolt Plus. I don't have the video quite done on it. We did an edit on it yesterday on the Edit and Chill live stream. But this is another one of those things that has come out that has kind of just changed the game in ways that I did not expect. So I've done a lot of Thunderbolt 5 testing on different Thunderbolt 5 SSDs. So I have the LaCie SSD5, which is quite a bit smaller still. Also got the OWC 1M280G. This is my all-time favorite Thunderbolt 5 SSD. At least it was. Now it's not. Now the U35 Bolt Plus basically came and broke all my different SSD tests that I was doing. So it's the fastest on the AJOS speed test. It's the fastest on Blackmagic disk speed test. Also, this one was able to move 500 gigabytes of files way faster than any of the others. I think it was over double the speed of the LaCie. So SSDs have something called a cache on them. And the thing about a cache is, as you're moving files, the cache is this fastest space on the SSD. So it will fill up if you're moving over 500 gigabytes of files on most SSDs. And then the speed of the drive is actually going to collapse way slower than what your top speeds are when you do the initial speed test on Blackmagic Disk Test or whatever application you like to use. So the problem I was having with the LaCie, with the OWC Envoy Ultra, also with some of the SSDs I tried out in the 1M280G, is the cache sizes on them just weren't very big. So this would run really fast for a while, but then it would stop, kind of throttle a little bit. And with the U35 Bolt Plus, this one doesn't have that issue. It's able to move files double the speed, so you're actually taking advantage of the Thunderbolt 5 capabilities it has to offer. The big downfall of this one, and I guess it's the downfall of any SSD right now, is it runs for $900 for a 4 terabyte. I would be curious to see what it would have been if this whole SSD crisis hadn't happened. It would probably still be pretty expensive though. So on my SSD chart, I've actually got testing data for the OYN U35 Bolt Plus. I've got links, you can buy it. They're kind of doing a soft launch from what I understand, so they haven't done a major push for it yet, but it's available on Amazon right now. It's available on the OYN digital website. I'll have the video done and posted either Friday, or it might go out next week. I'm not completely sure yet. I kind of wanted to wait to see a couple more things with the drive. So this one, 500 gigabytes in 1:41. So with the LaCie, it was 4 minutes and 27 seconds. With the previous fastest, it was 3 minutes and 46 seconds. So double the speed, 16.5 seconds to move 100 gigabytes. And the read and write speeds, I was hitting all the way up to 6,500 megabytes a second. And if I did the AJOS speed test, where it'll go for 500 gigabytes at a time instead of being the smaller sizes that the Blackmagic disk speed test has, with that one, it was also sustaining 5,800 megabytes a second over the course of a 500 gigabyte file transfer, which I want to add data for that test to this spreadsheet. You can find this at adamtalks.tech/SSD guide is the place to go if you want to see that. I'll post that link in the chat. So if you're interested in checking out this spreadsheet, this has all my SSD testing. And if there's other tests you think I should do, please let me know, because I'm always interested in gathering more data for this. I'm also kind of tracking the prices on some of these SSDs. So I made my giant SSD guide video a couple months ago. I guess it was about a month ago when I was really gathering most of the data. And some of these drives, you can see the price already went up on them more, like the Crucial X10 Pro went up. That one's about to sell out though. Samsung T9 almost doubled. So I'm really curious to get more data on this. I wish I would have written some prices down when I made my first video about the SSD prices going up in December. That was kind of when I heard some info that was going to be happening. So this whole guide is out there if you want it, and I would recommend looking into it, because all these are super expensive right now. So if you're gonna spend your hard-earned money on it, then it's definitely worth making sure you're getting something you're gonna be happy with. The next thing we got on the Tech Talk for today is Apple's launch that's supposed to be happening next week. So this launch is kind of confusing me a little bit. They have a couple different kinds of launches they do. So everyone knows they've got their big smartphone launches they do every September, and they did the iPhone 16e last I think it was March when they did some of the other stuff. They do iPad launches. A lot of times they put the iPad Pros out in the fall. A lot of times they put a new MacBook Pro out in the fall. The question with this launch, though, is what all are they going to put out? Are they going to put it all out in this same week, or are they going to stagger stuff? They're saying that they're going to start announcing stuff, and when I say they, I'm talking about the people who leak stuff, are saying Apple will start putting stuff out on the internet on Monday, and I think Monday is the 2nd, and then they have their experience event on Wednesday the 4th. So they've invited a lot of people to go. I'm not one of those people, unfortunately, but they're going to have people on site where they can actually mess with the different products that are launching. So still really curious to see what all is going to launch. What are they going to hold off on? There's a lot of stuff they need to update. They need the new iPad Airs. I would love to see the iPad Airs take a step forward and get a little bit closer to the iPad Pros, because they're a couple $100 cheaper, and the iPad Air it's a great value already anyways. The iPad A18, if that's what it is, or the 12th generation, or whatever the cheap base model one is too, will also be an interesting one to watch, because the A16 is a really great option still. Really like using that one. I was talking to someone about it yesterday. The main reason I don't use the A16 more is I just don't like the keyboard cases as much as the one for the iPad Pro and the iPad Air. Also on the Apple launch, I'm still really curious if they are going to put this new HomePod thing out that has the display and the speakers all built in together, something that you would use in your kitchen or office or living room. It could be cool. I also feel like that's just what an iPad is for. You can just move your iPad around and use the speakers that are built into that. Next thing we've got to talk about today is a couple of other live stream ideas that I have. So I've been doing the edit and chill videos, which I've been leaving those up. I'm not sure if I'm going to make those a live only thing where you have to be on it to actually see it. But it's basically a behind the scenes look at my editing process. Everything from importing footage from camera, SD cards, all the way to going in and doing the initial rough edit, kind of getting the storyline finalized, showing a couple AI tools like Gling that I've been using to convert to text-based editing, just because you can go through text-based editing a little faster than going through like a whole 15 to 16 or even 20-minute take. That just speeds you up a lot. So I've been doing that, showing how I do B-roll, how I take the whole video, rearrange some things sometimes if I'm shooting the video and I'm not happy with the flow, how I can take notes and then add things that I forgot to put in and put it on later. So that's one thing I've been doing, is the edit and chill. I'm also thinking about doing a work and chill style video too. So I'm sure you've seen other streamers doing that, where you really can't see anything they're working on. You just see them working and you're basically just hanging out. The idea would be there'd be a chat on, so if you wanted to chat or ask questions about tech, there could be some little breaks to talk about the latest docking stations. If you've got something you're looking for with your setup, you could also join in on that, or you could just leave it playing in the background if you need to feel like you're working with someone, because sometimes we all need that. We all just need someone to help us get a little bit of work done. So if you would watch the work and chill streams or tune into those, let me know. They'll probably, if I do try them, they'll probably be like a unannounced sort of thing where they'll just pop on whenever. I don't know if I'll leave those up. I'm not really sure if I see the point in that. I've also seen some people do the work and chill where it's basically silent. Some people do it where there's some ASMR, there's some sounds going in the background. There's also some people who do work and chill sessions with background music playing. I do a lot of music for fun. I haven't recorded any music in a long time, and I thought it would maybe be fun to record like a 10 or 11 track thing that could play in the background of those, kind of at a low volume. I'm not really sure what the genre would be. Maybe some sort of like chill hop or something like that. Mess with some of the loops on Logic Pro, put some guitar, bass, some keyboard on. That could be kind of fun to make something like that. So work and chill, would you visit for that, or nah, you're just here for the reviews? If you're just here for the reviews, that's totally fine too. Another thing on my list of topics to talk about in today's video is rebuilding a setup, and I think we've talked about this like the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I've been redoing my desk back there. I thought my vertical monitor was dead. It started working as soon as I took it off the desk and took the whole stand off. Now it's fine, which I'm happy it's fine, because I didn't really want to replace it, and they don't even make that monitor anymore. So I fixed that, got that all working, and then I set up a Rodecaster Video S, which is really cool. You can technically live stream from a computer. It's just nice to have dedicated hardware for doing a live stream because you can keep everything plugged into it and you hit all the buttons on it. Like I've got Stream Decks controlling my video switcher that's over there, and then I can just reach that video switcher from there, so it's not as big of a deal. My setup in my office, I need to do kind of another tour, and I've done some where I show like all the individual components. I need to do one that's a little bit more of a wide angle so you can see how all the different components of the setup work together. I'm really trying to get everything super streamlined where it's faster than ever to shoot footage, capturing B-roll being easier, and just getting stuff out of the way. So anyways, now I'm working on a setup with my Rodecaster Video. I wish you could see it. I'm looking at it right now. I'm working on a setup with the Rodecaster Video. It's on one of those cool iFootage stands, and I've got a monitor I'm mounting on it later that's going to be a multi-viewer. So I'm kind of just arranging everything where I can always have my cameras ready to go for live streams or for filming content, because it just makes things a lot more efficient if you don't have to dial everything in and straighten it up perfectly every time. Like just trying to get this desk straight with the camera, that always bothers me when I'm editing later on, and if I feel like it's tilted a little bit, you can kind of see the desk is tilted, and there's also a camera right here, and trying to line it up with the wood grain of the desk is another thing that just takes a little bit of extra setup. So the more streamlined you can have your setup, the faster you're able to get work done, you're able to be more efficient, and then you can focus more on whatever the topic or the task is that you're currently doing, instead of having to think about the setup and the behind the scenes for all of that working. So really been liking the Rodecaster Videos. I wish they would come out with a 4K version of it. I know not many people are doing 4K streams, but it kind of hurts a little bit to be running these nice Panasonic S1 IIs and the S5 IIX, S1 IIe, these really nice 6K cameras. I'm just running 1080 for live streams, and I think the 4K would help a little bit with screen sharing from computers as well. So still working on refining some setups. I also have to keep things modular, because whenever I get a new piece of tech like this docking station, I really try to put it through its paces, which is a little bit of a hassle. You can see I've got a docking station behind me. I think that one's, I've got the OWC one going still. That one's been working great. For this setup, I've got the CalDigit TS5, not Plus, but TS5 is keeping all sorts of stuff going, like Stream Decks, and Rodecaster is plugged into it, as well as some other different things. So I like using docking stations, but I don't like testing them because I have to unplug everything from it, set it up with this, and yeah, it's just a lot of moving cables around, always having to reroute the power brick through the bottom. And with a couple of these docking stations, there have been some quirks with different ports not providing enough power to go to all the different host devices, or not the host devices, but the downstream devices. So that's something else that I will run into, and it's really handy when I do test those with different setups. I also use a different monitor sometimes. I need to get an HDMI monitor, because there's a lot of people who are really curious about HDMI performance on docking stations. I use Thunderbolt for my studio display right now. But anyways, I test everything. I mess with my setup, use it, take it out of the setup so I can film a review, and then I always put it back in the setup to get all the B-roll shots that are super crispy and keep the video looking interesting. Next thing on the list is a topic of saving a little bit of money. So we're going to go back to this, not the spreadsheet, but I've had a couple of people asking me recently, how do you save money whenever you're buying tech? And there's a couple of different ways when I go out and buy tech. If there's stuff that I don't need right away, then I have a couple of things that I do. The first thing I'll do is I'll save searches on eBay. So if there's an expensive camera lens I want and it's kind of hard to find on the used market, then I'll put a save search on eBay, and eBay will send an email every morning to say these are all the new listings. The next thing I'll do is I'll actually get on B&H, and there's a couple of different ways you can use their site. I wish they had a way to do a save search. They don't yet, but you can actually just type in whatever you're looking for. So there's this Panasonic 24-60 lens that I really like. There it is, and if they had a used one, it would actually say used right below it. So unfortunately, they don't have a used one of this. But you can search anything and you can go to this used store. So there's the Sigma version of this lens, which is not the one I'm looking for. But the point is, you can get stuff that either is no longer in stock, is new, or you can get stuff for 25 or 30%. So let's just search for Lumix. And you also have on the side of it, you can do, so if we're doing mirrorless lenses, and you can continue to search within results. Like if I wanted L mount, that's what my camera uses. So yeah, there's that 85mm lens, $100 off. And if you go to it, you can see the condition they rate it as. I found their condition ratings to be very accurate, and they also tell you how long the warranty is going to be on it. So some of these you get a longer warranty than other, but it looks like most of these are 90-day right now. They've really got a lot of those 85mm lenses in stock right now. But this is really nice because you can just easily save some money on something. And B&H is great about returns too. So if you need to send anything back to them, then I've found there have been a couple things I haven't needed, or there was maybe one thing that I wasn't completely happy with the condition, and returning it was super easy. So yeah, there you're saving $112 on it just by getting it from that. What's nice about B&H is I feel like they understand cameras a lot better than Amazon does. I've heard there's issues with people on Amazon who will order like a Lumix 24-70 f2.8, and then they'll get that box, but it'll have the 20-60 f3.5 kit lens in it. So Amazon's a little more like, you know, tread lightly. But let's look for Lumix 85mm here. So my other trick is on Amazon. You can actually go to their resale site, and I need to try to find the way to get to that. But I like looking on Amazon too, because sometimes you can find stuff for even a better deal than it is on B&H, but it kind of just depends. It's just a nice thing to have as a way to comparison shop where you can save money. So there we got it for $4.99 from B&H, and here we've got the same ones for $4.38. So that one ended up a little bit cheaper. I do get some Apple stuff, open box, on Amazon as well, and also on B&H. So you can search for MacBook Pro. This is a nice way where you can just see all the different models they have in stock. The thing I've noticed with B&H and the used section, sometimes the deals on the new stuff is better than the used, and sometimes there's extra coupons that you got to watch out for too. So yeah, with B&H, I guess that was a 1 terabyte, so that's not a bad one. So yeah, like here we've got the new 16 gigabyte 512 M5 $1449, but we found a used one that actually has the terabyte on it. I believe it, yeah, it says there it's got the terabyte. So you're getting the terabyte one for $1533, so for $80 more. Still comes with the B&H 90-day warranty. And some of these you may still be eligible for Apple Care. I'm not completely sure on that though, so that would be a question to ask a B&H representative if you were wanting to go this route. But really like using B&H to save money. Another thing they have is they got the Paybu credit card, and that's another way you can save a little bit of money. I believe if you get the Paybu credit card, then it actually is able to help you save the tax and some form of a refund from B&H. So really like getting stuff from B&H on the used market is a way to save some. And sometimes another way I like to save money is I'll just put something in the cart and I'll wait for a couple days just to see if I actually need it or not. And then I realize I didn't need that cable, or I didn't need that thing quite as much as I thought I did. So that's another strategy you can use. Just throw something in the cart for a few days, come back later. Or another thing I do is I'll actually write something down on a note. I'll say I want the M5 MacBook Pro. Right now, the best price for the 1 terabyte one we said was $1,650. So I'll write that down, and I'll say on Tuesday, February 24th, that was the price. And then I'll think, what's a price that would be a little bit better or make me feel better about buying this? Say I would buy it for $1,500. Then I can write that down on my note, and as soon as I see a used one below that threshold, I can be like, oh yeah, I'd absolutely go for that at that price. So that's a way to save a little bit of money too, is just write something down, think about it a little bit, and watch for a deal. That's all I got for today though. Hope you guys are having a great week so far. If you got any tech questions, feel free to leave a comment on this video. Also, you can always go to my website. There's a contact form there. Contact me on Instagram. I don't really care. I try to answer everything I can. But hope you guys have a great rest of the day.